Welcome to the Mystery College Podcast. Today we're interviewing Tamara. Tamara is a Vedic astrologer and she's very talented. She's worked through a large portion of the Franz Barden system and gives fantastic readings. I'm actually one of her clients. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jake, and thanks so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, so great to have you. I'm wondering about what got you started off on your path to Vedic astrology and also the Franz Barden works.
Maybe we start with astrology. I think astrology, since so much time has been a subject of interest to me. Firstly, because my mother is astrologer, and my mother has this vast library, with all these books, and was always very, very interesting for me to look into this library for her books and talk to her. And I think also astrology or elements of astrology always appear in some manner in all these occult sciences, And I was working a lot with tarot also. And through the work with tarot, I got to know the Kabbalah a bit and also astrology. So the zodiacs, especially the planets, there was always an element of this in all the things which I found very interesting. And I don't know, I always like to see what the zodiacs mean, and I was nearly always asking the people surrounding me what zodiac they are, and was quite interested in this, but I was never really drawn so much into that. The moment this became much more intense was actually the time before COVID and the COVID time, because this was a time where I was really immersing myself so deeply in tarot again, and then in Franz Barden. This was a main topic for me too in this time. I had so much time for my own. I was completely. A lot of us were really, thrown back to themselves. Like doing a lot more internal work because we couldn't go out, we couldn't live this social life. So this was absolutely crucial for me these years, and I started with Franz Barden. This came first before my studies of Vedic astrology. And how came this? Actually, it was through tarot also. Through tarot, and then a Kabbalah, and then I was again in this library of my mother, and she told me, I have this book about Kabbalah from Franz Barden. And we were looking to find this book, and we didn't find it. And then I found it at the end. I found it in France. We have a vacancy, a house there, because my mother is French. And there I found it in a shelf, in a dusty shelf, this book, and it was a quite old, how do you say? It was an old book. It was not one of these new ones now. And I started to read it. And Franz Barden wrote that you cannot start working with this book before you haven't worked with initiation into Hermetics first. So I thought, yeah, okay, I will have to buy the first book. And I was looking for this book, and I found it in France too, and started there actually with the first step, reading it. And this was a moment I became familiar with the system of Franz Barden. And yeah, and I started working with this book and with the steps and all that. And I think everything in this time I did was leading to the next step, you know. And astrology was something which was always present in a way in my life. And actually, it started with a reading my mother gave to me, like the second reading in my life. And we talked about that. I learned from her. And but someone from the Bardon community talked to me about the sidereal system and the tropical system. And this was the first time actually I got to know that there are these differences, and that really there are other systems of other astrological systems. And then I started to research, to make a research about that. And I came across the Vedic astrology, and it seemed to me so interesting. I don't know, because it's so vast and so much connected to the Vedic philosophy in general. And yeah, I don't know, it was fascinating for me. And then I decided to not to first study Western astrology, but to really learn the Vedic astrology. And I was doing a research where I can do that, and the first step or the first place I looked for that was the American Institute of Vedic Studies. It's Dr. David Frawley who initiated that. He has written a lot of books about Ayurveda too, and Vedic astrology. And I started some kind of a program there. But actually, as at the base, they work with a sidereal system. It was strange because my zodiac was completely another one, and all the signs, everything changed. And I knew my Western astrological chart, and then it was so completely different. And then I said to myself, okay, let's try that. You know, I really tried to identify with that and find something which corresponds. But it was really difficult. And I don't know, I had doubts about that too. And then I came across Ernst Wilhelm. And Ernst Wilhelm is a really great astrologer and researcher in that field too. And I found very interesting that he uses the tropical system embedded into the Vedic methods. So I began to learn about that, what that means and why. And he was a lot... yeah, he tried out both systems, and actually he himself said that yeah, the accuracy, there is an accuracy of 85% if you use a tropical system. It's not that the sidereal is wrong. There are moments it's better to use the sidereal. For example, when you work with the nakshatras, which are zodiacs of the lunar mansion. It's different than the zodiacs that we know. But anyway, yeah, and then I stick to that actually, because he has a platform with really huge amount of videos where you can learn that. And he wrote books, and it's very easy to access this platform, and it's really affordable. And he's such a great researcher, you know, and it's so precise and so well researched, everything I find, that I really stick to that now, since only 1.5 years. It's not very much for astrology. It's not very much for Vedic astrology. And I still have the impression that I'm scratching at the surface, you know. There is so much to discover. And I would say that this made a huge shift in my life. This changed my life a lot, because actually I started because I want to discover myself. You know, it's always the starting point for most of astrologers, I think, to really get to understand yourself and understand the path that you were given since your birth, to understand what could be my purpose, yeah, or what are the lessons I have to learn in life. And I find also that it's really it makes really sense to combine these both systems, to Franz Bardon and the Vedic astrology. It's a nice marriage, I think, in a lot of areas. And this is it. So I would say the crucial time was this COVID time to dive into all this, and that's where I am now. And I think I will be a student forever. And I'm not sure if it's possible to really get to know all the methods of Vedic astrology, because it's so vast. You can learn so much. And actually right now, currently, I'm really focusing on especially two features or methods, which are, we can say, the heart of the Brihat Parashara is a sage from India, and his main work, Brihat Parashara Aura Shastra, is like the baseline of all these Vedic astrological knowledge. It's like the main work where all this knowledge is coming from. And Ernst Wilhelm studied this a lot and translated it, I will say, into a more better, easier to consume a language, you know, but very precise and very on the point. So that's mainly the thing. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, yeah, I understand that many people look to astrology for guidance in their spiritual journeys. So, how can one understanding their astrological chart with an astrologer or solo aid their spiritual development, especially when it comes to identifying and overcoming challenges?
Jake, I'm sorry, but your voice was a bit cut. There was a freeze also. I didn't.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe
so
the connection
what I
is a
meant
bit
to say
unstable.
is, how can understanding? Yeah, I think it's on my side. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, I hear you.
So how can someone understanding their astrological chart help them with their spiritual development in relation to overcoming their karmic challenges?
Mm-hmm. So how can that help to overcome the challenges in life challenges, spiritual challenges? That's the question, no? How can that help? Jake, you're completely freezed. I don't know if you can hear me. You hear me? Maybe we shut off the picture, the video.
There we go.
So you can hear me. Okay.
Shoot. Yeah.
Yeah, wait, I will do the same on my side. I leave it at the moment you don't hear me, you tell me. So yeah, that's a good question. And this question, wait, you wrote, okay, yeah. Yeah. So I understood the question. Yeah. How can that help? Yeah, actually, it can help in that way that looking at your birth chart, it's really a birth chart is really like your DNA. You see this chart, and you have the moment of your birth. You have this constellations. You have this planets on a really specific place in the sky, and with really specific interactions. And this works a bit like an imprint or a DNA. And when you see that, and when you analyze that, you will know the strengths, but also the troubles caused by these interactions, these planetary interactions, which are a mirror of your personality. No, the planets are elements or parts of our own personality, of our own psyche, and every planet has an agenda, if you want, and is a specific part of yourself. And you see this chart, and you can exactly and really clearly see which planets work well and lead to the fulfillment of what they present, and which ones does not work as well. And this way you got to know yourself very quickly, I would say, or you already have this sensation of, especially when you're doing inner work, and self-developmental work, or into these spiritual practices, you already have a sensation of who you are, and what is troubling you. And when you see your chart, it's like a mirror, really. And you sometimes you're like, wow, okay, I felt this way, but now additionally, I can see that in the chart, and I think it's a great way to get a confirmation, but also you see things that you didn't know at the beginning, and new stuff, or something to discover. So it's really a great tool to get to know yourself, and you can really work with it. So it's very practical. It's something really pragmatic, I find. And through these special techniques, for example, there is one, it's nearly, I would say, it's the heart of Brihat Parashar. It's personally, I think it's really also the main feature from Vedic astrology for me is the Lachitadi Avashtas. And Avashtas means the states of the planets. And there are 6 states of the planets. So we have, for example, Lachita is called ashamed. And this is all based on the natural friendships of the planets. there are planets that are friendly to each other. There are planets that are inimical to each other, and that the friendly planets support the other, and the inimical planets they can do harm in a way, or they trouble the planets. And there are 6 states, 6 avashtas, 6 Lachitadi avashtas, and one is Lachita, ashamed. This is the expression, or starved, Kshudita, proud, Garvita, thirsty, Trishita, delighted, Mudita, and agitated, Kshobita. And through this system, you can really see what kind of habits, what patterns you have built or were built throughout your life. And actually, Lachita Avashta is these Avashtas can be changed by yourself, because it's patterns that you can change by yourself. It starts with the thinking, no? It's thoughts that lead to an emotion, which leads to an action. So everything is based on that, actually. So if you go inside, you have really to, it's really a deep immersing into these avashtas, and it's a work of hours too, because every planet has some avashtas. So you see, this way you can see which planets are fine and which ones are not so strong, you know, and you can work with that, and you can break it really down to specific habits you have in daily life, thinking patterns, which cause fulfillment or the opposite of it. And this is a method or a tool with which you learn a lot about yourself, and throughout which you can change these thinking patterns, and and develop as a personality, and getting a more whole person. And it's about health, to be healthy and to be fulfilled now. And I don't know, I was losing the track, but this is one feature. And then we have the moon nodes, of course, and this is one of the differences of Vedic astrology and Western astrology. I really find so significant how deeply this topic is treated in Vedic astrology, the moon nodes, the north node and the south node, because the moon nodes it's so crucial in the chart. They are describing the evolutionary path, a main evolutionary path in life. And if we really consider them, it's so helpful to know about them. It's so helpful from where we are starting, the starting point, from where we're coming karmically also. It's a lot about the karma and our security paradigms built by the nodes, or especially the Ketu, the south node, and the experiences that we need to integrate into the whole personality, which are missing. And through life, we learn to make these experiences to get a more healthy person, actually, to fulfill our purpose, to grow personally. And it's so crucial, the nodes and these Lachitadi avashtas. So these are topics I'm very focused on, and I think most of the Vedic astrologers, as I know, which have learned with Ernst Wilhelm, are focusing a lot on that. And I would say this is really crucial to get to know yourself and to grow and to, yeah, that's mainly the.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I'm also wondering, after having said all that, like, I think one common struggle for many people who are balancing their day-to-day responsibilities with the pursuit of spiritual growth or becoming the best version of themselves. So how can astrology help people find harmony between their earthly duties and their spiritual aspirations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how can there be harmony between these both? First of all, I think it's not separated from each other. So you have your earthly duties, your earthly life, your work, family, all these things, and then you have this longing for, or yeah, this spiritual goals, and you want to progress in that too. And I think both things are just two sides of the coin. And the earthly things, we can say it's the dharma, as expressed in these in Indian astrology, or it's the dharma, it's the path of life, no, our duties, our moral code, and actually it is to live life with all these earthly duties in such a way that with devotion, that doing the best we can in a loving way, in a fulfilled way, even if it's earthly and we have to do all these things. And also karmically, it's seen that it's important to do all these things. There is a reason why we are in this body and why we have all these duties, um, including the obstacles we meet there in the day-to-day life. It's a kind of karmical duty. You can see it like that. I think it makes the thing much more easier to approach that with this spirit of this is karma, this is my life, and I will do all this with dedication. And it's called karma yoga too, you devote yourself to all this without attachment to the fruits of your work. So this is called karma yoga. And it's spiritual work too for me. And then you can at the same time pursue moksha, the liberation, spiritual liberation, and it's connected to each other. So in an astrological point of view, this is it actually. So you are thrown in this life, in this body, and you have these tasks, or you have your earthly life with everything you do, and it's about doing all these things without too much attachment to the outcome, but with devotion and in a loving and devotional way. So there is a spiritual work you're doing already, and at the same time you can pursue moksha. Know what I mean? It's
pursuing liberation. Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. So one thing is that a lot of listeners and viewers are interested in the works of the Czech magician Franz Barden. So some of his work really dives deep into planetary magic and emphasizes the importance of understanding planetary influences in practice. So I'm wondering, how does astrology inform and enhance the practice of planetary magic, particularly in identifying with the right planetary energies to work with. Maybe especially in the context of hermetics or
Yeah.
Franz Bard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think through this science, I call it science. It's a science. Through this science, you learn a lot about each planet. You know, there are so much layers already. The quality of a planet. The sun is fiery. You know, it's the essence. It's the self. There is the elements, and there is the mythology about the planets linked to the avatars. Yeah, every planet has a specific mythology. You have the elements, you have the gunas, you have there is so much, you know, there are so much layers to each planet. And I think in learning that, you have a baseline to also in a way experience that, or to make the connection to your daily life and really see, wow, okay, this is a solar quality, or now this is more a moonlight quality. Moon, the mind, the emotions, the adaptability, the capacity to adapt to the world, to what happens in the world, the feeling nature, the Venus, Mercury. You can. Okay, I think first comes the theoretical knowledge. You know, you get to know all this, and then you make the connection to your day-to-day life, and you can start to work with these forces, which are nothing else than aspects of yourself, and then you can make magic with that. So I'm not so much into the planetary magic of Franz Bardon still. I'm still with the initiation into hermetics. That's why. But I know theoretically I know about it, and I think it's a really good. It can work really well, in a complementary way. If you already work with planetary forces in a magical way, and you have additionally this knowledge from Vedic astrology, it can only enrich your the knowledge in general, you know, and as much you know. It's like, you know, it's like you have a set of colors in a painting set, you know, and you can add so much more colors and layers to it and enrich it. And we are so different as personalities. So I can say, wow, I will focus more on the elements of the planets and work with that. Or I love mythology, so I will really study these stories, this mythological stories, and find the truth in that, the essence of what these stories will tell me about the planet, actually, and really incorporate that into your life and into your practices. So I don't know, I'm always or I became that way. I think that every method, we don't have to stick to only one method, you know. And I'm like a bit. I like it when it's creative, you know. You work with a system, and then you can add other features from other systems too, to make a thing out of it, which suits really your personality and your mind and your spirit, and with which you can work, because this is the main thing. What works, what works at the end is what works and gives you results. So yeah, I think this knowledge about the plants, and I have a book tip. If you like to work with planetary magic and want know more knowledge about the planets, there is a book, Graha Sutras, and I don't know if it's still available, but you can download the PDF format on Ernst Wilhelm's website, and it's about $10 or $14, and it's such a huge literal. It's a huge book, and you have so much aspects of the planets. You have the mythologies, the names have all meanings. Then the planetary kingdom, the sun is the king, the moon is the queen, Mars is the military or army aspect, the protector, and so on, and really outlined so precisely and at length, really, and much more. I mean, there you have geometry and numerology connected to the planets, and this gives you such an in-depth and vast look on these things that it only can enrich your magical planetary work, I think.
Yeah, and speaking of doing planetary work, sometimes people look at Saturn or Mars, and they're often seen as they can be challenging influence. And, they do play a significant role in both astrology, magic, inner transformation. So what strategies can individuals use to harmonize these energies? And I know that's a broad question because it's totally dependent on their charts, but I'm wondering if there's some overarching themes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the first thing would be looking into the chart, because there you can exactly see how much and what is disturbing or is disturbed by Saturn or Mars, or is disturbing Mars or Saturn. But actually, it's true that Saturn especially is the great challenge. And actually, it's such a beautiful planet. There's a real beauty to Saturn too. I will start the way around. Someone who has a good working Saturn without any bad aspects in a good sign where Saturn is exalted or centered in own sign or in exaltation, and without great bad influences. These are people mainly, a good Saturn is the capacity to say no, to stop things which are not healthy for us, to let go. It's all this stuff. My son has a Saturn like that, and you won't mean that you are not really aware of that at the first glance if someone has such a Saturn, because it's something that, these people just know when to stop unhealthy things, unhealthy relationships. They just can let go, and don't suffer so much, because there is not this attachment. This attachment is not so strong because they have this healthy sense of, this is not good for me. I just don't go on doing that. I say no, I let go. And Saturn is, there is this time factor too. It's about time. It's the slowest planet. And everything throughout life is getting better. It depends. It depends also the strength of Saturn in a birth chart. But actually, it takes time for the things to improve. This is Saturn with perseverance. And and actually, when Saturn is afflicted, or afflicting other planets, or himself afflicted, there is always an issue of being attached to the wrong things. For example, if there is an affliction with the sun or a starvation, and the sun is your essence and yourself, that means that you're focusing your energy onto the wrong things, the wrong projects, the wrong things, and you may think that's the purpose, but it's not, simply said now. And I think without looking at a chart, you recognize Saturn always in moments where you're attached to something and you know, actually this thing is not good for me, but it's so difficult to get my fingers off that. And it's also concrete events in life, of course, and obstacles in life, depending the position of this planet too. Yeah. So you can work with that without looking at the chart. That's possible. Yeah, actually, it's quite simple. It's simple to say, but it's so difficult to do. This letting go, this not doing things which are not supposed to help me on my way to find my purpose, to be a fulfilled human being. I break it down. It's it's so simple, but this is it actually. And yeah, do you have any question about that maybe before we go on to Mars? Or
yeah, I think that's pretty clear. Like, it's really fascinating exploring how planetary magic is often linked to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Mars.
and yeah, Mars is a so-called malefic planet too. I think Saturn is, for me, Saturn is the main, and I think in general in astrology, it's something we really have to look at in the chart. Sometimes I look first on that, because it can be a main blockage in everything, and we have to solve this first, and then to make the things flow. It's oftentimes a troubled Saturn, which makes the problems there. But every planet can be troubled, even good planets or benefic planets, depending on in which signs they are, if they are conjunct to an enemy or a malefic, or the aspects. Yeah, but Mars and Saturn are definitely malefic, and but not only. But they are the so-called malefic planets. The Sun too in Vedic astrology. I don't know in Western astrology. I don't remember if it's the case with the Sun, because the Sun has this other side of, as it's a fiery planet. It can burn too. So if it's conjunct other planets, there is a notion of this is Lachitadi Avashta again. Of the states of the planets, of starvation, possibly a starvation and agitation too. So it's agitating the other planet. For example, if you have Venus together with the Sun, Venus got agitated, and agitation is a lot about incompatibilities too. So with Venus conjunct Sun, you possibly really often encounter situations in which you are with a really incompatible people, and yeah, the goal is to there you can work with your Venus if you know what your Venus is and what it stands for, and see the connection to your life, and you can improve these things too. But yeah, this is what can happen with the sun too. Mars is is also a fiery planet, and is the doer planet, and Mars is the exertion. We exert throughout our Mars the things we commit to. Before Mars, we have a Venus. Venus is the number 4. It's the foundation. It's the things we find valuable to ourselves, and therefore we commit to them because it's something which fulfills us, rejuvenates us. It's the worldly things we need to be fulfilled in a worldly way in this body on this earth. And then with Mars, we exert that. We do that thing, yeah. And if Mars is troubled, we have difficulties to make this step of manifesting the things we commit to. There is a struggle. There are difficulties to do that. And yeah, but there are so many different layers to that, depending which other planets are influencing Mars, or the way around, Mars influencing other planets. So yeah, how can we work with that? I mean, I think it's good to know about these qualities, and then you can detect this notion in your daily life, and then you might be able to work with that too. And actually, it's a lot about thinking patterns, a lot. This is why the Lachitari Avastas plays such a big role in Vedic astrology. It's about our patterns, our thinking patterns, which become emotions and which become our actions. And yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to explore the aspect of thinking patterns before. I'm curious about like the energetic from the planets, like how that transfers to us and influences our thinking patterns.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for example, we have this example, Saturn with Mars is something to, for example, a conjunction, which is always the strongest trouble-making influence when you have such planets together in conjunction. For example, Saturn, Mars, investing so much energy in things that are not meant to be your things, your projects, yeah. And it's Mars is also the associates, the team player, and yourself as team player. And it makes you a good team player, but actually with a Saturn starving Mars, it's a starvation. It means that Mars is investing so much energy, so much of this doer energy into the wrong projects, into the wrong things. And the beauty of the Lachitariya Avastas is you can see that, and you recognize that it's about these thinking patterns and about stepping back and being aware of what's happening, And then there is and this is such a magical moment too, this moment when you recognize, oh, wow, this is this pattern, and I see it right now. I'm so aware of it. In this moment, you change the pattern, That's the beauty of it. And it's something you first, okay, you read all that, you learn all that, and you think, okay, sounds logical. But to make the transfer to daily life, that's another very important step. And you have these examples every day, nearly. Yeah, every day there are moments you recognize, oh, wow, okay, that's my star Mars, or that's my star Venus. Yeah, oh, I'm committing to something which is not healthy for me. And the bad thing about when Venus is troubled like that is sometimes people commit to things and stay in these relationships, for example, such a long time because they made this commitment. And then in one or the other moment, they realize, wow, this is not a give and take. This is something I give so much, but I get nothing back, for example. This is very much Venus too. And yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. That's brilliant. So I'm also wondering like where like people can identify their strongest planetary influences for spiritual transformation, for doing for fulfilling their dharma, their and how might they develop these strengths further?
Mm-hmm. You mean the strength for spiritual development, to see which planets are helpful for spiritual growth? You mean that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot. There are these planetary maturation ages, and it's so much about these maturation ages, especially Saturn, how we deal with our Saturn and how we evolve in that, and what kind of experiences we make and how we confront them. So it's a lot. Saturn matures at 36. So and it's sometimes you have some events in life accompanying this. I don't know how you say in English. Parallel to this maturation. So it's very crucial how this maturation is taking place, and especially Saturn. And then we have the moon nodes which matures. We have the north node called Rahu at the age of 42, and or a little bit earlier, a little bit after, but it's 42 mainly, where Rahu is maturing. That means that, and again, the moon nodes are so crucial for the spiritual development too. And actually, how your Saturn maturation will take place has an immense influence on how your moon nodes evolve and mature, because it's linked. All the maturations of all the planets are connected, and everything is linked together. And so 42, your Rahu matures. That means that the place where your Ketu is, the south node, which is your security paradigm, which is the sign in which Ketu is placed in the house, these are the places where you have or where your security paradigm has been built. As security paradigm is always something we had to develop, mostly in upbringing, because it was the only way to survive, the only way to go through life without being totally damaged or without being, a security paradigm which gives you this security. But a security paradigm cannot be the end goal. It's also a pattern which we have built to go through these times, through life. And there will be one moment where the security paradigm, or also called the Ketu castle, because it's a safe place, we know this place, and we have these abilities conform to the sign, to the house. We are really very well functioning in this. But there will come a time, especially around 42, where this Ketu castle crumbles down, where the walls, these security walls, crumble down, and then you feel a really strong pull to go to the other end of this axis, because it's an axis. You have the opposite Rahu, and the Rahu sign, and the house where Rahu is in. And this experience, this Rahu experience, is really frightening, because it's a place we cannot see this place. It's like the jungle. And it can be a really fearful experience before we go there, because we don't see nothing. It's black. I mean, Rahu and Ketu, they are eclipses. They are not physical planets. We only see them when they eclipse the sun or the moon. It's black. So we don't see that. And actually, Rahu is what we didn't live and express with Ketu. These are the hidden aspects of the self which we suppressed for our security paradigm, which will be seen then at this age. So you will be pulled into this jungle of this new experience, colored by the sign Rahu is in and the house, and you need to go there. And this Ketu thing crumbles down, and you need to go there to get whole again. And this is a very spiritual thing. This is a spiritual path. And I mean, I'm really these moon nodes. It's really, and I love that about Vedic astrology, because you don't find this in Western astrology. This in-depth. It's really so deep what that means, and when you look at the sign, the houses, and actually you need this experience. And okay, with 48, you're in the Ketu maturation, and Ketu actually is also a symbol for the final liberations. It's a very spiritual node. So we can say that ideally we throughout life and with these experiences we get to a Ketu place, or this place in the chart, but liberated, so we experience this Ketu placement in a different liberated way. So this is a story of the nodes, and it's a very spiritual process, I find. And it depends a lot of how we're dealing with our Saturn maturation, and generally with Saturn in our chart. And I mean, it's the best is you can see your chart and can see specifically really what also helps your Saturn. You have good influences too, or you see the general the strength. It's a very elaborated system in Vedic astrology. You have the Shadbala. It's you have so much different aspects of strength of the planet, and there you can really very precisely see the strength of the planet, and see how this planet will be able to perform. And Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, brilliant.
If I lose myself a little bit, you have to stop me.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating. I wouldn't dare to. One thing I would like to ask is, like, in your perspective, what do you feel is the key takeaway or insight that people can do to help them align their life based on their astrology charts?
Wow, I have to think about it. The key takeaway. Maybe can you ask the question in a different manner?
Sure. So what's one way that people can apply their astrology charts to help them align to their ultimate path, their sun path, or
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I think the best way is to know about your Lachitadi Avashtas, about the states of the planets, because there it reveals your thinking patterns, and you really you see. And it's a bit, we're coming back a bit, sorry, to the soul mirror work with Franz Bardon, because I think it's a very good add to the soul mirror work too, or the way around, because you're given ideas and methods to change thinking patterns. You know, you have an aspect, something in your soul mirror. You recognize that something you know that's not healthy, so you change it throughout all these ways like auto-suggestion and so on. And when you know about your Lachitadi Avashtas, I'm sure you see, okay, this habit, or this habit I have, it's there. I mean, in the Lachitadi Avashtas too. So I know it's really something. And so you can, it's really complementary. You get to know about that, and you can work in this soul mirror way with that. For example, first you have to recognize this pattern in your daily life, and you will recognize it. And it's good to start with one, as Franz Bardon also said. And it's the same with Lachitadi Avashtas in Vedic astrology. You take one Avashta, maybe the currently most difficult, or a difficult one, which blocks you in life, where you really feel this is a block in my life and I don't want that anymore. So you take this Avashta, this thinking pattern, and you make your soul mirror work. So you can proceed like that, this way. And also to know about your moon nodes is very, very helpful. It's so good to learn about your security paradigm. What is my security paradigm actually? Oh, wow, it's this. Sometimes it's not so clear because it's really, really very hidden, the security paradigm. We think this is something natural and normal because it worked so much and it helped so much, and it still helps sometimes. You know, when we have difficulties in the world with experiences, we always go back to the Ketu house because there we are secure. And to know about this dynamic, we can improve a lot in the magical work about yourself, in self-development. So these both main features of Vedic astrology are very helpful. I mean, there are much more, but I think it's really the heart of it. if it's about self-development and the personality and spiritual development, I would say these both. Yeah. And there's you can, there is a website, vaultoftheheavens.com, where you have a chart calculator, which is calculated with a tropical system, but it's a vertical chart. So this can be interesting just to see your chart, and there are some nice features too, because you see also the nakshatras, which planets and which signs in which nakshatra. And the nakshatras are these 27 lunar mansions. This is unique in Vedic astrology too. It's like zodiacs, and they provide another layer to your classical zodiac and to the planets. You have an extra layer of signification of qualities, which is really, really nice also to explore. This is something which enriches the classical zodiacs and the placement of the planets, including Rahu and Ketu. So you have this, and then you see in this report, you can see also the dashas, which is very unique to Vedic astrology too. It's time cycles. So these are calculated over a long term of your life. You have these cycles of the planets. That means that, for example, you can see that from 1995 until 2000, you're in this period, planetary period. So that means that in this period, or you can see in which dasha you are right now. So you see which planet rules actually, or which and that means that this planet actually is really prominent in your life. So there you have these features. I mean, it's a bit difficult if you maybe if you don't have a basic knowledge, but I think it's not too difficult to research a bit about that. So I just wanted to have mentioned this, that you can calculate your chart. It's free of costs, and you can do that in the internet. Yeah.
Fantastic. What's the best way for people who are interested in working with you to get in touch with you? Like, do you do social media, website, email, or any other ways to follow your insights, experiences, or teaching?
Yeah. Right now, there are not a lot of possibilities, but there is one very good possibility. It's through the platform formystics.org, initiated by Rydell Sol. And they can contact me throughout this site, which is really nice to explore too. There are a lot of nice guided meditations, and in long term we plan maybe I really would like to do some kind of courses about each planet, to get to know better each planet with all these layers. And so this kind of stuff you will maybe find, I think, more probably 2025, because this year, end of this year, I will work on my website. So hopefully end of 2024, I will have a website too. I still don't have a website, and an Instagram profile probably too. And for now, you can contact me through formystics.org or through my Facebook page. That's always possible.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It was really nice to talk to you. And yeah, maybe again with other new techniques, astrological techniques that I might have learned.
Fantastic. Sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.